God made the covenant with Abraham, Abraham was sound asleep. And God walked through the cut up pieces of the animal, making a covenant. The boy is sound asleep. God is basically saying, let that be done to me, or what has been done to this animal, if I should violate my part of the promise, which means God's promise was immutable, indestructible. It was so certain because God cannot ever not be. God is a necessary being. It's impossible for God to not exist. And so that's how certain the promise was. It was purely an act of grace that he gave Abraham that kind of a commitment. That's the first thing. If you have never read the book of Hosea, it is probably the most beautiful book on the love of God you will ever read. Hosea is a prophet. He's married to Gomer, who becomes a prostitute. And he has to go and stand in line to buy her back for half the price of a slave and a day's rations. Imagine him standing in the brothel, buying his wife back for himself and for the children. And he's commanded by God to go love her, beloved of her adulterers. That's God's love. And the people, of course, are saying, what kind of a prophet do we have? You know, he's going around buying his wife back from a brothel. And the prophet probably said, you got that message? Haha. Now I want to ask you, what kind of a God do you have who comes to us as a people who played the harlot? That's why William T. Ewers said, how odd of God to choose the Jews. But how odder still are those who reject whom God chose. He could have gone to Greece, philosophy. He could have gone to Rome, glory. You know, he could have gone to Babylon, splendor. He went to the tiniest little nation, bullied by Rome, mocked by Greece, enslaved by Babylon, and said, come close, look at my eyes. When you see my eyes, you'll see a miniature reflection of of you in my own eyes. You alone have I loved all the nations of the earth, as he chose the nation that was going to be so resistant and so hard. And so I say to you, God's love is splendidly displayed in the Old Testament. You see it in all of the expressions as he gives them a covenant people. And I say to you, I was a useless, up to nothing kid who only knew best how to skip school. Wanted to become a cricketer, that's all I lived for, wanted to play cricket. And my dad just gave up on me. He said, it's a disaster. Why on earth does he send a man to a hospital room to give me a Bible? I will never question his love. God's love is without measure. He came into my hospital room looking for me. The man who led me to Christ, his kids listen to my podcasts all the time, and now the grandkids. The man who led me to Christ passed away 2 years ago. He was living in Los Angeles at that time. He was an Indian man. And a week or so before he died, he phoned me. He said, Ravi, I watch you on YouTube. I read your books. And I cry and I say to myself, is this why you brought me into the world? To take a Bible to this young kid when he was dying in Delhi. And I say, Fred, God brought you into the world for a lot more than that. I want you to know God's love is uniform across the world. Who would have ever thought that he'd be doing what he is in China today? And the testimonies are riveting. What he's doing in Islamic countries today, where dreams and visions are coming to those behind closed doors, and the transformation of the human heart. I could tell you story after story after story of some of the most incredible conversions we are seeing. He's not a God of hate in the old and love in the new. It's the same God who judged in proportion to the revelation that was given. There was an abundance of miracles given to the people, and those miracles were ignored, and the judgment was as dramatic as that, to remind us that if he gives you incontrovertible evidence, more shall be required of you. So the demonstration of God's grace was as dramatic in those days as it was the judgment, and the provision was born out of love. The judgment was born out of holiness, and we need to hold those in reality as twin expressions of a perfect and a loving God. Okay, leave that with you.